Hey there, welcome to Contracts and Chaos. My name's Alyssa.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to tell you that you are not alone in the mayhem of this real estate industry.
We're keeping it real and sharing our stories, strategies, and successes in today's real estate world.
So come join us every Tuesday while we talk contracts and chaos.
But anyway, let's
Yes.
talk about 10-minute prospecting. And you tell me, so this was also your episode idea, but we've, talked about it before. I'm the one that writes out our outlines. Tell me if I'm wrong first before we start this. Is this what you were intending to talk about? Like the way I have it? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because I was working on this yesterday and I was like, it's her family time. It's a Sunday. I'm not bothering her. If we get, and my literal thought was, if we get into here today and she's like, that's not what I meant, I'll be like, okay, well then we'll talk about the other episode.
Right.
And
Let's
then
do
we'll
this one
next week.
and then we'll do another. Yeah, absolutely. No. So it actually, and I popped this in our Trello board. I was sitting in my designated pickup spot that I pay for every year. It's great. But I have like 10 minutes and I can either play, I don't know, Candy Crush or Solitaire or whatever I'm, feeling at the moment. I'll read a book or something like that. Or you can prospect for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes while you're waiting for the kids to get out of the school. And I hear so many times like, oh, I just don't have time to prospect. Like that takes a long time. Lead generation, I feel like people think is a 2 to 4 hour commitment of cold calling and door knocking, and it doesn't have to be.
No.
It doesn't have to be. And if you actually set your mind to focusing on these 10 minutes, you can get a lot of stuff done. You can get a lot of reach outs done in 10 minutes. So that's the idea, to go along with, because too, like we'll have days that we're going to inspections and showings and closings and those kinds of things. And then suddenly where we would have been prospecting or doing lead gen for 2 hours, we've been stuck in traffic on 85 or something like that. Right. And now we don't have that time. But we talk about this a lot on the podcast as well. Time blocking means don't just forget about it. Shift it, do what you need to do to get it done. And sometimes that means 10 minutes. So,
yes. And that being consistent, even if it's just 10 minutes, consistency is going to, like, it adds up, and consistency is more important than intensity. So if you don't...
This is a great one. I was just going to say, I was talking to an agent who is part-time in real estate right now, works a full 40 to 45 hour a week job, right? Do they go home and prospect for 2 to 3 hours? Some people do, probably. But then the ones that are also moms and at the basketball court and bringing to volleyball and doing these stuff, this is a great way to build your business in between all of those things, especially if you're doing it consistently. And that's the key to all of these things that we talk about, really. Because if you can do anything once. Will it bring you business? Maybe. Nope. But there's like a huge chance of no. If you hit the miracle one, yes. But you have to, repetition is where business is built.
And like if you are that mom that's, I don't want to say stuck at soccer practice or basketball games or whatever, but does work that 40-hour week, or even maybe not a mom, but something, you work a 40-hour week, maybe you have another part-time job. Which we get it. Totally get it. We've all been there. But if you can be in a situation where you can have like, and I know it seems cheesy, but I can't tell you how many realtor shirts I have, or shirts with my logo on it, or my bag, or a laptop sticker. Those little things may not seem like prospecting, but they will open conversations. Absolutely open conversations. Or think of like, excuse me, this little tickle. Think of even your social events. And you don't want to come to like a cocktail party and be like, I sell real estate. You should talk to me about real estate. But I went to 2 different event-like things this weekend, and it just came up naturally. And one of my past clients was at one of them, and his friend was like, oh, I need to refinance, but I might need to sell. And I didn't have a card on me, but I was like, Quaid has my number. Like, he'll give it to you. Call me when you're ready. We'll discuss, see what we need to do, and I'll get you connected to a lender. Like, it may not be what you consider formal prospecting, but I firmly believe like do the things that get the conversation started. Go to the things like I honestly just went yesterday to hang out with my car friends because I knew the supercars were going to be there and they're some of my favorites. I don't get to see the supercars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and, hung out and everyone, it was a good catch up and how's business and how's the market and oh, you should meet this friend. And I probably had 2 or 3 conversations about it. And that, well, it's not formal prospecting. It counts, in my opinion.
Oh, it 100% does. And some of my very favorite and very best transactions have come from instances like that. Of course, like it's not all going to come organically through a chit chat over a cheese board,
Right?
but those are some great contracts to have. The other plus side to this is, especially like in the wintertime, I am just so down. I want to like, I have my sister calls them the CCDs, the seasonal depressions.
I just want to live
um,
in a tanning bed.
I want to live on my couch with my dog in a blanket. That's what I want to do. So when you're thinking about, and this is if you have plenty of time, like you have the time to do the 2 hours of prospecting, and you're just like, I'm actually just going to catch up on this entire season of Love is Blind today.
Right?
Okay. Sometimes that short burst is way easier to wrap your mind around than, oh God, I have to get up and do 2 hours worth of for sale by owner prospecting. If you're like, you do 10 minutes, you can watch one episode.
Right. Right?
you
Or
know?
like,
And
okay, there's 4 new Fizbos today. If
mhm.
you call 2 of them, you can go get coffee and come back and finish the other 2.
Listen, I'm a firm believer of self bribery. Firm believer.
Right?
I
Put
am.
down the TikTok and do the thing.
Exactly. And this is, again, and we'll get into some strategies, some actual tactics for you here in just a second, but it can be fit into so many different ways. If your schedule went haywire and now you do need to get some work done, or you have some free minutes that you could doom scroll or build your business, that's a great way too. If you're just not wanting to do anything but you need to get yourself out of that slump, this is that quick little burst. And you might find in that instance, if you're like, I'll do 10 minutes, and then you get on a roll, and then you're like, heck, I'll just keep going, and then suddenly it's been an hour.
Right?
Because I do that too
Or like
sometimes.
the other day, I got pulled away from work for most of my, like, I went to a networking thing to see a new construction thing. But before that, like when I would normally do my prospecting, there was a family friend had a situation, had to go help. Totally fine, not complaining about that. But by the time I got back home and other things done, I was like, "Oh, I didn't get anything done." Well, I do a letter slash calling campaign for expireds. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, you know what? Just at least do today's expireds. Maybe not, you can go tomorrow to do the 60 and 90. It's 1 day difference. It's probably not going to make a difference if they've relisted, but do the today's. And I did exactly what you said. There was only like 3 or 4 for today. And I was like, well, that was done real quick. Let me just see how many 90
Mm-hmm.
days ago. Let me see how many 60 days ago. Boom, done. And the next thing I knew, they were all done. So yeah, just do it. And if you need to set up some type of self bribery, do that too. Don't do self punishment, please. Let's avoid that one.
Yeah, like if you don't do this, then
Right.
you can't take a bubble bath tonight.
Right.
No, let's not do that.
No.
We
Um.
deserve more than that. Okay, let's get into. I think we have 10
Yes.
ideas for this. Okay. Do you want to go? Do you want to take turns?
Yeah. The first one is the 5-5-5 method,
I love
and
this one.
yeah, I think it's very similar to the $1.80 method.
Mm-hmm. It's
Like,
very similar to the $1.80, and e- who calls it? They call it high fives too, because then
yeah,
you
I
remember
can't remember who
the
calls it that, but yeah.
who is the high. I'll think
Um.
about it.
Oh, it's a lady on TikTok calls it the high fives too, but it's call 5 people, text 5 people, comment on 5 social media posts. Now,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, if you're looking to get things done in 10 minutes, 5 phone calls is probably not going to be in there. But text 5 people, comment on 5 social media posts. Not only is this going to be a connection with those people and a reach out, but especially that social media is going to play with that algorithm because you're engaging. And so they're going
That's
to see
great.
what you're doing more. So if
Mm-hmm.
social media is a main part of your business, that 5 social media posts or comments is probably the most important here. But if you also do other prospecting, then yes. But yeah, it's simple. 555. Call 5 people, text 5 people, comment on 5 social media posts.
And if
Done.
you're not looking to get locked into a 45-minute conversation with somebody, just shoot them a voice memo.
Yep.
Just drop a little, hey, how you doing?
Yep.
Because that can be done in 10 minutes for sure. Another one we like to call a social media blitz. So 10 minutes, you're going to be commenting and DMing past clients and prospects. And again, this is an engagement thing. This is trying to get your posts recirculated. This is when you engage, and it changes all the time, but when you engage with somebody's post and they reply back, even if it's just like a heart or something like that, Facebook is like, oh, they know each other, right? So if they weren't seeing your posts before, now they're going to start to trickle them in to your posts. This is another good time to go back into posts that you've posted the day before or a couple of days ago. And if you haven't replied to the comments on your posts, drop a couple of comments in there, react to some of the comments, because that's going to recirculate that back up to the top of the feed too. The most important with these though is those direct messages, because that's your one-on-one connection. That's where people are like, we're having a conversation that we miss so much when we don't have that face-to-face interaction. And that's where those like, hey, I heard that, your mom is sick, or that kind of thing. And that's what organically creates those relationships that may be a slower turn for business down the road, but those are. I have a lady right now, that, gosh, I've been talking to her for 3 years now about selling their house. The first time they found out that he had lost his job, it was a COVID thing, so maybe it was even farther back than that. Anyways,
Right? It's amazing how quickly we got through five
yeah,
years.
yeah, COVID was so far away, and then they had a baby, and like things have just changed. And then I just stay in touch with them. They're ready. So, but that's been a long turn for that one.
Right? Well, and this one is also great. Like, there are so many times where you're stuck in a doctor's office
Hmm.
or you're on hold trying to get like the perk test back. I was experiencing that last week. These are things you can do quietly. Like,
Yes.
you're not trying to make a phone call. So, like, it drives my mom nuts because it looks like when we're waiting for something or like there's nothing happening, boop, 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 and she's like, would you get off your phone? And I'm like, I'm
My
working.
husband does that, and I'm like, sir.
Well, and her part of her problem is my stepdad claims he's doing that, and he's really just watching tinfoil hats on Facebook. But he's like,
Oh,
"Oh, I'm working because I grow my business on social media." I'm like, "You know nothing about how to do that, but
they're so funny.
okay." But she gets, and I'm like, "No, look, like this is," and I've had to explain to her, like, I know it looks like I'm just commenting, but it plays with the algorithm, or it looks like I'm just
Hmm.
sending a silly DM about, the best way, respond to their story. I respond to stories
Yes,
all the time,
it's
and I'm like,
easy.
perfectly sets up
Hmm.
a conversation. But those are great things you can do when you need to be silent. Like if you're
Hmm.
in a, you know, waiting for your kid or whatever, like you don't have to worry about being on the phone and you don't have to have
Hmm.
a bunch of stuff. You can literally do it from your phone, which
Yes,
is
which
helpful.
is so. That's part of the perfect part about this 10 minute is usually it's everything that you can have like right in your hand. You're not having to be at a desk. You're not having to have your whole laptop. Everything like that. It's all just quick
Yep.
and easy. Mostly all from your phone.
Yep. Or so the next one, you can also, if your database has an app for your phone, do your database check ins. Send
Hmm.
some quick, like, thinking of you texts, with past clients, or even like have a graphic or a file ready to text or email to them real quick and be like, hey, this doesn't go out to the whole database, but I know this is specific to your town or a hobby you like. Like, I saw this event on Facebook, or I saw that this band that I remember you mentioning is
Hmm.
coming to town. Wanted you to know in case you didn't know. That's a great way,
Yep.
to reach out to your database and not feel slimy about it.
Hmm.
And you can do it with your warm leads too. Like if they're not a 4 star or 5 star, that's a great way to re-engage and be like, hey, remember you saying you really liked Monopoly? Did you know there's a Monopoly tournament in town? Maybe you don't want to join, but I think it would be fun to go watch. Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of my favorite ways to do it is those
As long
database.
as honestly, any reach out, as long as it's not a canned, like, copy paste to 800 people, like, hey girl,
Right.
don't know if this is for you,
Oh, I
but
hate
I
that.
have this, we've all gotten them. And I've had some conversations with these people. And listen, no hate on the hustle, but there has to be a better way,
My favorite is
because
when it's like the girl you weren't friends with in high school who
in
now
high
thinks,
school,
"Hey, bestie."
no,
Excuse me? What? Since do
no.
you know my name? If Facebook didn't tell you my name, would you know it? Yeah, those just all
that's a
they're not
that's
gonna go
another thing
well.
for another day. Anyways, the next one is handwritten notes, and we're gonna do an episode here in the next couple of weeks. I think about what's in our car. We did one recently about
Yes.
what's in our bag, um, and this is a spoiler alert. I guess I have a pack of blank note cards in my car, partially for things like this, mostly because I'm, headed to the closing. I'm like, oh my God, I left the card
Right?
in the house on the island and I have a backup
Yep.
set. And they're very easy. They're not branded. I never put a business card in those things. I don't. I
No.
just don't. So, um, write a write a note. Write a happy birthday card. Write a happy Tuesday card. It doesn't matter. People love to get mail that is not a bill.
Yes.
Can or junk.
Yes.
You know
And
the
I had an aunt or a great aunt, I guess technically growing up. She would send little cards for all the little holidays. St. Patrick's
Mhm.
Day, Valentine's Day. And it was just like the size of a little thank you card. And they were
Yes.
great and I loved them. Maybe
Mhm.
that's something I should do is like go back like do the
Holiday
little
little holiday
cards.
cards. Yeah, because listen, nobody gets mail. Nobody gets mail. We went to my he's the same age as me, but he's my nephew because
Because
things
you come
work
from
weird
a
like that.
giant family.
Yeah, yeah. So, his wedding was this past summer, and they sent out thank you cards, of course. But let me tell you, inside our thank you card was a small card that was addressed to Violet and Maddie. You
Oh,
want to get like real good connections real
I
fast?
love
Include the
that.
kids. Include the
Love that.
kids.
That's a great
It
idea.
they were
And
so excited. So excited.
in my desk, here, if you're watching this clip wherever we post it, they make tiny little cards.
Mhm.
Now, I wouldn't mail them. Some lady told me she was trying to mail them. I'm like, that lady, that's never going to show up. But like
It's going to get lost.
this one's just a cat with a funny face and it says, "You're so awesome. It's scary." Like, that's a great thing to like, or something,
Those are cute ones to fill out and drop by the teacher mailboxes.
right? That's a great idea.
You do
Um,
stuff with the teachers too, to drop by in
yeah,
your if you're in the next one too, like pop by planning. Those are little cards that you stick in those baskets.
right. Or like, yeah, like actually, pop by planning for teachers, that with like a full size candy bar, you're going to
Mhm,
make their day.
mhm.
Absolutely make their day. I think that's a
Listen,
great
teachers
idea.
don't get loved on nearly enough.
No, I'm going to write that one down. Where's my
The
notepad?
excitement that you get when you bring them a ream of copy paper is disgusting.
Okay. So our next one, sorry, I was writing down the card with the
No,
candy bar.
we take notes throughout every
Right? Because
episode we
there's
record. It's
always
fine.
something that you come up with or that I like where I was like, oh, wait a
That's a
minute.
good one.
Yeah. Pop by planning. I did this last week. I finished it, the plan at the end of the week. Well, let me rephrase that. I planned the idea. I
Mm-hmm.
ordered the supplies. Today or tomorrow, I'm assembling the list and then I'm probably delivering this weekend.
Okay.
Um, everyone's going to do Valentine's Day, right?
Yes.
Everyone. I'm doing Super Bowl
At a girl. It's very
because
on brand.
it's very on brand and it's 2 weeks before everyone's doing Valentine's Day. So I'm beating y'all to it.
Yes.
Um, but Popeyes, and they don't, I mean, I know some people just keep like generic ones in their car.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea. Like if you're, I don't know, running errands and you notice, oh, I didn't know this business was here. I really want to introduce myself. Boom, run in, pop by. Um, so that's a great way to do it. I plan mine. These go to like sphere of influence and past clients. These will all go to sphere this time because I did past clients at Christmas. But I found tiny foam fingers, like they literally fit on one finger that's purple for my colors. Football stress balls. And then
Nice.
I found a template on Etsy that's like um true or false Super Bowl trivia. and it gives you the answers on the back. And I have to come. The phrase that she did is great. It's like something like "Let's chat because real estate season is coming." But I kind of want to add something about like the stress ball and we're number one to go with what.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on that. But yeah, those will all go out this weekend. Popeyes,
That's
like
awesome.
every time I do them, I get a text or a call and a conversation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it may be someone that just bought, but they're like, oh, she thought of us. Like, that's really sweet.
Yes.
My mom never understood those. I was like, and I explained something to her. Oh, she had a magnet on her fridge from another realtor. And, um, it had like the measurement conversions. And I was like, Mom, you have another realtor. She's like, well, you didn't send me one. And I was like, okay, but you know how I did all these things? She was like, yeah. I'm like, same thing. She got you. She was like, well, we would never use her. We would use whoever you told us to use. And I was like, good mom, good
Okay.
mom. But I was like, they work. They work because she's had it on her fridge for forever.
Yeah, that's funny. No, and those things stick around. That's why I think that they are such a great option. I'll do the school calendar magnets again this year. The next one is neighborhood farming. This is something that might take it takes more time than 10 minutes to farm a neighborhood for sure.
Right.
But if you are already farming a neighborhood, go ahead and pull up those recent sales, right? And get that out in a quick market update email. If you already have a scheduled like Tuesdays, they hear from you, great. But add this into it. Just throw it in there and be like, hey, don't know if you saw this, but 123 Banana Street actually just closed 15,000 over asking in your neighborhood.
Right.
If this information is helpful, reply back, whatever you need to do for a call to action. But just keeping those people engaged. And also, there's no algorithm with email, but we are creatures of habits. You're like, oh, you see that email, it's a Monday. Oh, you see that email, oh, it's a Tuesday, right? If you're out of habit and send an extra one, they're like, oh, wait a second,
Right. Right. Oh,
that's
this
different.
isn't, I'm not going to bulk delete this because it's the same one she sends every Thursday. It's, wait,
Mm-hmm.
what, this one's specific. And if you
Might
can
be.
get your CRM to put their name,
Yes.
like code
In
it to
the
put their name in the
subject,
subject, bam.
big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
Yep.
Okay, the next one I hate. I hate this. And so maybe you can give us an idea of how to do this
Okay.
without like literally the thought of this. You can see my body language. It makes me nauseous. I hate this. I hate when your pop buys just say fishing for your referrals. You're not offering any a bag of goldfish with a tag on it that says fishing for your referrals is not offering value. Okay,
No,
off
it's
my
not.
soapbox. But this is
Okay, off your soapbox.
referral outreach. Like ask a past
Yes.
client for a referral in a quick
Ask
message
a
or
past
call.
client, ask a past referrer.
No,
It doesn't,
yes. Refer I think
that's,
is different because I
past clients aren't terrible. And as far as asking for business, or my favorite is to reach back out to the people who never got around to doing like a review, right?
oh, that's a good one.
And it's a quick touch. Actually, Thanksgiving, same thing happened then. We started a conversation like, oh, they were actually going back to Washington State for Thanksgiving this year, yada yada yada. And then she texted me again. She's like, oh my gosh, we never did a review for you. She's because we were talking about how she shared with their family there that I'm the best, whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm always happy to hear that. And anybody you send my way, of course, is greatly appreciated. She's like, oh, we never left you a review. And I was like, life happens when you're moving, especially halfway across the country. Like, and this is something like it wasn't a link that I send once. Like it's a 3 reminder thing. And then I'm like, okay, wait again. And
Right.
then at that point, it's a 6 month. It's 6 months after. Be like, hey, hope you're still loving everything. Here's the Google review
Right.
link. Um, but that's usually the best icebreaker, especially if you know that you had a good transaction. There's nothing to be scared of to reach out and ask. So that can be for a review. And then I ask, is anybody else looking to relocate to North Carolina? Is the house still working for you? Just ask one question, real estate related. And if it's not triggering for them to be like, yeah, actually, we decided that we do need that third car garage, they're like, Susie Q from across the street actually was just saying that her aunt is moving to town.
Right. And those are great ways to do it.
Hmm.
But the
I
whole,
don't like the I don't like the mass mailing. Like,
mm-mm. Or like I said, like the fishing for your referrals. Your referrals are what keep my business going. Hey, if you're not thinking, do you know anyone?
this just comes from, and we've talked about this before too. Everything that is like a yuck to us, it has worked and
Right.
completely built somebody else's business, right? And that's
Absolutely
why
agree.
you have to take everything that you hear from anybody with a, oh, like just because it works for Alyssa and I doesn't mean that that's your cup of tea,
Right. Because
right?
there
If
might be
your
a
cup
person
of
who's
tea,
like, you want me to put together cutesy little pop buys?
right.
No.
Let me send a mass text message to 1,100 cold leads and see what happens. Because listen, at that point, it's a numbers game. You have to send it out to a million people because they are cold,
Right.
right?
Right.
With and that with this 10-minute like prospecting, the idea is to not let people get to that. Oh, like that's weird. Haven't talked to her since high school. She was really mean to me, but here she is wanting to sell me skincare all of a sudden. Is
Right.
are my wrinkles showing? Like, what? But that's just something, whatever your prospecting niche is, go for it.
Right.
Cold leads, the only cold leads, and they're not even cold because they're literally trying to sell their house, are for sale by owners
Right.
that I reach out to.
Right. Yeah. I just, that when I just went to the parking lot and called my mom every time. I was like, I can't do this. It's gross. But, okay. So the next one, we kind of touched on this earlier though.
Yes.
Like,
We did like a voice memo or a video message. The first one, I think, the 5x5x5 call, text, and comment. Video messages are super easy because, again, if you get caught on the phone with somebody who's a little bit chatty Cathy and you're trying to get some work done in 10 minutes and you use 10 minutes plus 10 more minutes talking to one person, it doesn't defeat the process, but it kind of limits your effectiveness at that point. So, a video message can be just as easy as commenting on the new cat that they got, or asking if they're excited for the upcoming holiday,
right.
or do you have time to go grab coffee on Monday, or something
Right.
like that. That's personal. They see your face, or if you're just doing a voice recording, they're hearing your voice. It's not just like a message that they could be like, oh, that's copy pasted.
Right. Or like yesterday, there was a car at the meetup that we couldn't figure out if it had a wrap or if it was a paint job.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw someone post a story about it saying it was one of one in the world. It was custom paint. No one will ever have that. So I sent it to the one friend and was like, hey, did you see
It's
this?
painted.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that's paint. Now I want it on my car, but it was on a, I don't remember what it was on, a McLaren. So I'm probably
Oh,
not at that price point to paint that
probably
on my
not
car.
yet.
But
Not for a little while.
yeah. But yes, those video messages, there's all sorts of ways, all sorts of reasons to send those. I love using them for birthdays. I really
Yes.
do.
Yep.
Um, so this one I don't necessarily think, and maybe it depends because I feel like these conversations go one of two ways. So if we're talking about FISBOs, like calling a FISBO or an expired listing quick touch, like send a quick email or call. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
obviously the email is going to be a quick boom, done out.
Yep.
The call could go one of two ways. It could be, no, we're not interested, or we're not answering, or we're busy right now. Or it could turn into, yeah, we're ready. Can we schedule an appointment? Let me tell you everything about my life in this house.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you want to hear what I do?
yeah,
Okay. So, in this 10-minute spurt, you know when your next time to be able to dedicate to something like this is. So, that is a quick, if I'm talking to them through text or Facebook Marketplace or email, it is a quick, I see that you've been on the market now. Looks like we're hovering at that 30 days. I know you'd mentioned that you were wanting to get to Maryland before spring. Do you have time at 3:30 for me to give you a quick call?
I like that. I like that. Okay.
Because that, like, hey, I'm touching base with you right now this second. Also, can we talk more in detail at this time? And sometimes they don't respond, you know. Or the worst thing, honestly, the worst thing that can happen is two people respond for the same time that you offered. But at that point, it's just a conversation. Depending on how quickly they responded, you're like, oh, actually, I was able to fill that time appointment, so I can do 3 o'clock. 10 ideas for 10-minute prospecting. Look at how
Look
creative
at
we are.
that.
Oh, that's so nice. But now, the most common excuses, which we kind of touched on in the very beginning, the whole I don't have time, I don't know what to say,
Right?
don't want to be pushy. We can come up with excuses all day long. But this is something from KW. You can have reasons or results. You can't have both. So that's something to Alyssa has a couple of things to kind of counteract those thought processes
Yeah, I
in
think
here.
the big one for me is that I'm too disorganized. Well, that's me. Welcome to my
Same,
life.
same.
Um, I put it in my CRM.
Hmm.
Like that's the easiest way for me to do it. Is even like the expired letters I'm doing. I don't have their phone number or email, but their name, their address, when I sent a letter, it's all tracked in there. And
Yep.
then I create a task so I know when I'm calling them next or when
Hmm.
I'm sending the next letter. Like, so too disorganized. And we've gone through, guys, like, listen to some past episodes of different tools we use. We've brought up Trello, we've brought up your CRM, popsicle sticks and solo cups, a simple spreadsheet if you need, even if it's just a planner and like that has a column and you go back because you know where you did it, so or you mark it forward so you know what to do
Hmm.
next and when. Like there's so many ways to stay organized.
And there's so many ways to, you don't have to be organized for this to
That
work.
too.
You could open up Facebook Messenger, scroll back 60 days and see who you talked to 60 days ago.
Hmm.
Just send them another message, you
Or
know?
there's
And
the doesn't Keller Williams have a thing where they like divide out the alphabet?
yes.
Like
Hmm.
print that out, throw it in your bag.
DCD2 or something like
Yeah,
that. They
so
do like A's and F's. You reach out to the A's and F's, and then you reach out to the. They break it up. The idea is you might know more people with A names than you do F
right.
names. Or there's a popular B name. B names are most popular, so those are partnered with Z. You know,
Right.
those
Right.
kinds of things. But it gives you an idea of who you have reached out to and who you haven't.
And even if you don't get through the whole letter each time,
Hmm.
it's at least some people. So if you
Yep.
remember, okay, well, I know I talked to Ashley the first time the A's came around. So this time when the A's came around, come around, she may not be on the list. But because especially if you've done other things to touch base. But that's a
Yep.
great way without trying to organize yourself. Just use that so you know who to
Yeah.
call.
We're just eliminating excuses at this point. And like, I don't know what to say. Hello. Hey,
Yeah. Yep.
hey, isn't it crazy that next week is February?
Yep.
Can you believe that next week is February? That's a great thing to say.
Or
That's easy.
what a past coach told me, GTS. Google that shit.
Hmm.
There are so many. Now, don't take these scripts or conversation starters verbatim because you're going to sound like a
Yes.
robot. But there's so many resources out there. We have them in Academy, like people who do, you know, just conversation, like how to start them. There's stuff on
Hmm.
that. Google, YouTube, everywhere. If you literally just put in, I'm a realtor and want to talk about, but how about Chat GPT? It it will throw out a list of ideas. Like
Hmm.
I don't know what to say, and most of those you can do on your phone. So if you are sitting in the car or something, Google it real quick and be like, oh, that's perfect.
Yep.
Or
And
like
then
look at their social media. Look at did they have a birthday recently? Those are all great
listen,
things.
we all know that you're creeping on your ex's best friend's boyfriend. You know, we all know how to do this, okay?
Right?
Open it up, see what happened, send a little message.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
more than a comment. It's more personal than just commenting along with the sea of other people. They're like, "Oh my god, congratulations." Send something personal.
Well, and
Um,
now that Facebook supposedly you can figure out who's been looking at it like you can with LinkedIn,
oh god,
you
I
better
hope
send
not.
that message so you don't look like
Right.
a creeper.
Creamer. Don't want to be pushy. Stop stop seeing yourself as a salesperson, right? If you're seeing yourself as pushy, you're probably coming across as pushy. You need to pitch yourself, see yourself as what you are, which should be a helpful resource
Yes.
to your community,
Yep.
to those people,
Mm-hmm.
making connections. making relationships. You should not be a salesperson. You should be a friend and a resource.
Right.
That's what you should be.
And if I think the big one, I don't have time. Okay, so we've told you that this can be done 5-10 minutes, right?
Yes.
But if you're still like, I still can't fit it in, I urge you to go through your day and track every minute from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed and color code it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that is not prospecting or family time or, something productive, like if you're watching TV, doom scrolling TikTok, wasteful things like that, color code so you can see, oh, I am spending way more time doing things that aren't helping my business
Get
or,
you one of those chess clocks that'll
right?
track it.
That
Yeah,
too, or
and
one of
then
the
that's an
cubes.
episode we should do. We should each get one of those, and we should do an episode on
Do you have
you
one of
don't
these?
really work that much.
Right? You really don't. You really, and you can just set a timer on your phone. Um, but yeah, like the I don't have time. Track what you're actually doing. I promise
Hmm.
it's gonna open your eyes and you'll be like, oh,
Yes.
I can I
Yep.
I can find time.
Get yourself an accountability partner. That's also helpful as far as you can do the tracking, you can do the CRM. This is, again, a lonely business if you choose it to be a lonely business. If not, find yourself an accountability partner. Let them know what you did. Let them know what you're doing. And then use them, or if you're doing this by yourself, celebrate the little wins. This isn't about just, oh, I got a closing. This is about, oh, I did not binge watch Love is
Right.
Blind, and instead, I did some work today. So we have to, we're humans too. Treat
Right.
yourself like a child sometimes. Good
Exactly.
job. You put your pants on. Good job.
I'm still in my pajama pants this morning, but that's a whole thing. But yeah, definitely celebrate yourself. I love my accountability partner. And we don't even do it every day, right, Brenna? Some days we
Yeah.
forget. And then I'm like, oh, right. It's
Oh,
five
shoot.
o'clock. Here's what I did
Yeah.
do today and what's
Yeah, right.
rolling over until tomorrow. Um, but yeah, just 10 minutes, guys. Like we said at the beginning, that 10 minutes will compound. So those small daily things will lead to the bigger results. And they may not be huge results, but they're bigger than the doing nothing.
Correct.
They're bigger
Yes.
than they're bigger than doing nothing. So do the small things consistently.
Hmm.
I think that's my parting note on this one.
Yeah,
I
so
w-
go ahead, put in 10 minutes of prospecting every day for the next week, and then email us, text us, let us know
yeah, send us a
what you
DM
got
on
from it.
Instagram. If there's something you're like, I can't believe they didn't talk about this one. Send us the idea and we'll do a whole
Yeah.
episode about it if we can. But
Hmm.
I would
Yeah.
love to hear if there's something that you think we missed. And I challenge you, commit to 10 days of prospecting every day for the next week and see what happens. I
Yeah.
would bet you would notice other habits and routines changing around this to make it happen. Even if you
Yeah.
don't get instant business, you're going to find more time to prospect. Just start with the 10 minutes.
10 minutes a day. All right, we will see you guys next week. We just finished another episode of Contracts and Chaos, but believe me, the chaos does not stop here. So check out the show notes for our email address and where to follow us on socials, and we will see you next week.